So thanks everybody so much for being here. We're going to be throwing this on Facebook right after. So I apologize. The live stream still isn't working. I've uninstalled, I've reinstalled, I've tried everything, and it does not seem to be working, but we're going to give this a go anyways and hope that this Mercury retrograde post shadow is going to be over soon, which it is, just in time to lead into the pre-eclipse shadows that we have coming up. So, it has been a week. It has been last couple of weeks have been pretty intense. It's been an amazing time to be a human experiencing a spiritual experience, a soul experiencing a human experience this week. This amazing energy that's coming in is so incredible, so strong. Even people that aren't on a path of enlightenment or even doing this work are feeling the major shifts that are happening right now. And so, why all these major shifts? Why is it so intense? Eclipse season is that accelerated version of manifestation. Eclipse season is that accelerated time where it's almost like the cavalry comes in and helps you to really, really sort of amplify and manifest what it is that you have been trying to create. So one of the things that we need to kind of sort of look at when we're heading into an eclipse season like this. So basically, the eclipse starts on the new moon. We have a full lunar eclipse happening, like the Ring of Fire one, and it's going across north and southern hemispheres. So it's not just that you're going to see it in one area, it's that it's going to affect the whole world, and already is, which is very cool. But we feel this amplification start to happen a couple weeks before the portal. It lasts for a whole month until the full moon, where we have a partial lunar eclipse. And then we have a 2-week post shadow. So it's basically 6 weeks. It's all of October into the first couple weeks of November of really accelerated growth, really accelerated versions of ourselves, really accelerated balancing out. And it's balancing out for many reasons. One of them is the equinox that just happened. So we're right at that post precipice of night and day balancing out. And what this does is it purges things. It purges plants. It purges the farms. It purges anything growing. And you see it kind of either finishing, where the fields have to be completely, combined and tilled and whatnot. Or you see it in the trees. And this is what we're going to bring into our meditation tonight. A tree essentially starts to know just by nature that it is time for the energy to go down into the roots, to winter, to release those leaves, release the things that it doesn't need anymore, release what it has tried to grow, release what isn't serving it anymore, release anything that's going to inhibit it from really being able to grow and flourish like it needs to in the next year. So in the meditation tonight, we are going to go into the next year and 6 months and allow ourselves to be a tree. It's going to be beautiful. The other thing that is going on is, like I say, this eclipse season happening right after this harvest full moon. We call it the harvest full moon. Any full moon in September is called a harvest full moon. But this one is extra powerful because it's the 4th supermoon that we have had in a row and the last supermoon that we're going to have of the year. So when we look at timing, I want you guys to think back to October of 2005. So the last cycle that was rather close to this and is essentially allowing us to repeat and do a redo on that timeline that was set in 2005. For a lot of us, it was a really amazing timeline. Things had it may have been sort of disastrous the way it all wound up, but you were in a space where you were on a destined timeline that maybe kind of went off, where you were like, man, if I had just kept going with where I was at that point in time, imagine the things that could have been created. Well, this is that opportunity to have that little bit of a redo, to come back to those parts of us and to understand where we were and to be able to maybe perhaps make different decisions. And this is where we get to look at this balance of things. These decisions that we get to make now, they're not going to be from that unconscious egoic agenda, that 95% subconscious that's running the mind. It's going to be with conscious intention that we are now sort of moving forward into this destined timeline, to this reset of energies. And I kind of feel like what happens is when the full moon sort of happens and the alignment with the sun, the moon, and the earth, the way it's all happening right now, it's like it rearranges our energy. It's like it rearranges our timelines. Like it actually feels very almost overwhelming and confusing and anxiety provoking, because it's so intense. But this is meant to happen. This is all absolutely meant to be. And as we've been leading up into these weeks, it's kind of been all about divine timing, and it's been sort of about noticing, are we coming from fear, are we coming from love? This is that balance, coming from singularity to community, coming from light to dark, coming from fear to love. Where are we coming from? Where is our frequency operating? And so these energies that are moving in right now, Uranus energy, Venus's energy, Venus and Mars, the way they're paired up, um, it's showing us light on things that we may have never seen before. The other thing that's happening is that Chiron is at a point right now, with the moon and with it's got an asteroid sort of balancing it out, which is all about balance. But Chiron itself is the wounded healer. And the way the moon is conjunct with Chiron right now is bringing up stuff from way in the past, the struggles, the wounds, the traumas that we've had. This is actually the chance for them to come into full empowerment with us, to line us up, to know how powerful we really are, that we have overcome that we are where we are, that we're on this journey, that we want these things for a reason, to really help us to dial into our desires and not let anything sort of stray us from those desires, to really be able to see what it is that we truly want in a way that is just being lit up by this full moon. And in that, we get to choose what it is that we are ready to create. And by doing that, by creating this space for that, those leaves fall away. Those traumas become healed wounds that empower us, that sort of show us our strengths in ways that maybe we never would have seen before. Maybe we never even would have chosen to experience in any way, but they're happening. And so to be able to really embrace this solar moon energy that's going on right now, we can truly take a moment to notice where we're coming from, right? That love or that fear. We're going to react so differently to someone when we're in a state of fear or anger or overwhelm or grief or lack. We're going to not see opportunities. We're not going to take opportunities because we're going to allow ourselves to stay in that victim mode. And understanding that that truly is a choice is where this empowerment comes from. I mentioned Black Moon Lilith quickly, and I'll go back to her because the biblical stories of Black Moon Lilith are kind of neat. They go back to Adam and Eve, and Black Moon Lilith was apparently, according to old biblical mythologies, was the first mate to Adam, who actually denied his seductions. She knew her power. She chose not to follow the path and went on her own. And her power right now is literally aligned with the moon to shine that wise soul into us, that feminine energy that we all need to embrace, whether we're male or female, that action of putting yourself first, knowing what feels good and what doesn't, following your intuition. And one of the things that keeps coming up for me this week, and it could be just because I'm teaching about it tomorrow at a seminar, but there's a really neat Japanese tradition called forest bathing, or Shinrin-yoku. I have to Shinjin-yoku. I have to get the pronunciation correct because it's different no matter where you look at it. But the essence of forest bathing is actually going into the forest. Whether you have socks or shoes on is up to you. But I mean, grounding yourself on a forest floor, there's nothing like that. But when you get in and around some of those coniferous trees, the evergreens, the pines and the birches and the white pines, and you say brush against a tree or pick some leaves and just squeeze the pine needles between your fingers, you get this release of essential oils from the plants, which is actually been shown in studies to, especially these pine needles and things that I'm talking about, these pine trees. It has been proven, they have shown in scientific studies, that this actually activates some different white blood cells than what we would normally be producing in our body, fighting viruses that, could be lingering around. And we all know those different viruses that are around. So forest bathing has kind of made a bit of a turnaround. It's kind of come back. It's been really sort of studied and utilized over the last 30 to 40 years. But now that they're understanding the true benefits of being in the forest and experiencing simply just the oils from the trees, never even minding the grounding experience that they all bring, can actually alter our immune system. It can help us to instill healing into our body. So when I say get outside for a walk, I mean like get outside, get into a forest, go hug a tree, go get some sap on your fingers, go pick some pine needles, rub them between your hands, just, rubbing them, inhaling them, feeling that, just literally activating your cells' information to be able to create that immunology that you need to create that. And we all kind of could use a boost with that right now. Some ascension symptoms have been coming up where people have been feeling sick or been feeling really full in their muscles, or things have been really achy and heavy, and body parts are sort of talking to them. And there's so many reasons for that. There's so many reasons. You guys can always go back to my YouTube channel, where there's tons of videos on the parts of the body that hold certain amounts of pain. Like if your back is aching, it could be lack of support. If it's, the left shoulder, it's often around that heart chakra. Or if it's the right shoulder, it's that we're powering through. Or if it's feet, it's where we're going in life. If it's knees, it's how our identities are perhaps struggling with who we really are. All of these things that can sort of fear settles in the hips, finances in the low back. There's all these things. Migraines are the crown. Then there's the energy centers that are on top of that. Our bodies are speaking to us. And are we listening, right? Are we taking a few minutes to actually quiet ourselves and listen to what our bodies are telling us? Are we taking a few minutes to pay attention to perhaps what is plaguing your mind the most? What is it, when we talk about eclipse seasons and getting focused and doing the work and healing, if you look at the things that have been sort of either keeping you up at night, or are the first things you think about in the morning, or the things that are taking up the most real estate in your brain, these are the things that we're about to move into healing on. So allow those to come to the surface. Allow those, as we're doing our meditation tonight, to become like leaves that are falling from the tree, the things that you are ready to actually shift away from. Some of those, maybe those beliefs that in the past have been keeping you a little bit stuck, maybe some of those judgments, some of those voices that you hear when you're talking to yourself or when you're talking to others. this is a time to really be paying attention to all those things. So sleep might be a little intermittent. This last week has been a little bit rough for people trying to get a full sleep. That can be amplified by that full moon just lighting up the sky, making it a little bit harder to sleep. But the biggest things that are happening with this full moon right now is we're becoming more aware. We're becoming more aware every single day. We're understanding more than we've ever understood. It's like this sort of veil is lifted, and it's kind of cool going into October. We sort of know that the veil gets a little bit thinner in that month. That's why there's the Day of the Dead and Halloween and all these kind of things happening in October. So a lot of people have even been experiencing things like finding dimes all over their floors or random places, or feathers, things that are being left by loved ones, just letting us know that they're there. So feel that connection, feel into that, allow yourself to experience what is actually really occurring in these in this sort of shifting of new worlds. I don't know if you guys have been hearing this a lot, where it's like we're entering the new world, we're entering the age of Aquarius, we're having this division, this new world versus old world, and I feel like it's either you're learning to be aware of these frequencies, learning how to be able to operate out of love and see these things, to live consciously, to actually set that intention to step out of victimhood, to make those choices, or you're not. And either way is absolutely okay. Everybody's on a different path. But the reason that we're probably here tonight is that we've chosen the path of our soul's expansion and what feels good for us. Some may even call it spiritual awakening, or perhaps even midlife crisis, depending on the way you handle it and the way you look at it. The way we are able to handle it is by getting ahead of it a little bit. We understand that there's all these cosmic influences. We understand that there's things that are out there that affect us, as well as our own inner peace and our own inner vibration. So when we can actually um, have that upper hand, kind of know the rules of the game, understand it's definitely an intense 6 weeks, and be ahead of it, pay attention, be looking for these things that are showing us how we can create more balance in our lives, because that truly is what this is all about. It is exactly the the creation of balance. And so how, when anything is a little off, when anything's happening in any interaction that you're having, one of the questions that you can ask yourself is how can I create more balance from this, in my life? How could I just create a little bit more balance around this? Or even if you're put into having to make a decision, if you are unsure about something, if you even if you're just asked to go out for the evening and you're not sure, if you're asked to do something, ask yourself first what it is that a person who loves themselves would do. This time is all about forgiveness of self, about love for self, about expanding that heart chakra a little bit. The heart chakra, it's interesting. I always get this like little pain right in my heart chakra when I talk about it in this week, just because it's almost a painful experience to allow our heart chakra to be able to be open this much. But it's so important and it's so powerful to allow that energy center to expand right now, to do that healing, to be able to really enter this eclipse season with this love, this wholeness for ourselves, this bringing those parts back that had defragmented. So when we think about the moon is in Aries right now, right? So Aries is it's like the warrior, it's like um, the the action, the energy about creating sort of uh, power in every way in your life. And so it's allowing us to kind of purify and release um, really sort of driving us to be able to access the solutions that are coming. The full moon light is going to give us these solutions, not just kind of showing us all the shit that's out of whack, but really allowing us to see solutions, which is going to be very nice because up until now, it's been a little bit clear. So one of the things I also want you to start saying to yourselves is, up until now, I was, instead of beating ourselves up, instead of saying, I can't change it, we could say, up until now, I was a people pleaser. Up until now, I used to put everybody else first. Up until now, I didn't feel worthy. We can change the narrative. We can change the story. So use those words. Words are very powerful. They're light codes coming in. It's just retraining our brain. Up until now, I procrastinated. I love it, right? This is the follow through time, and this is the energy you're going to start feeling really push you forward. Like it's been coming up to show us little breakthroughs, but the cavalry's coming in this week. I get goosebumps just saying that. The cavalry is coming in. It's kind of like the different eras that happened. This was kind of like the industrial revolution, and now we're heading into the Renaissance area where it was like, or era where it was like, lavish gowns and all of the wealth. Like it's just huge, right? I love that even more. Up until now, I criticized myself for procrastinating. This is something. This is something. I love it. I love it. Unless we're seeing it, unless we are bringing awareness to it, it's going to stay in that third density. It's going to stay in our cells. This is bringing light to some beautiful awarenesses. We're just so aware. Now we know next step. So what action can I take? What action can I take to create more follow through in my life? What action can I take to create more energy in my life? And this is where all these little rules come in: Fibonacci sequence, Matthew's law, just a little bit more. So we're going to dive in right away to a meditation, and we're going to ask the superconscious for all sorts of help. We're going to ask soul to just connect with us and to allow us to just literally purify and release. So like I said, the moon is in Aries, but the sun is actually in Libra. And with Libra, it's all about balancing the harmonies of relationships, diplomacy, balance in general, justice. There's some Uranus energy. It's like Uranus is like trining, kiting, triangulating. Uranus is just kind of popping up all over the place. And when it does that, it encourages us to shake things up a little bit, to shift things. And we don't really know necessarily what that is, but it feels like you want something different. Like, this isn't exactly what I want. I want this. So you get to actually choose to shake things up a little bit rather than having the universe sort of shake it all up for you. You get to be ahead of it a little bit and actually really steer where it is that you're going and what it is that you want. I love this. Up until now, criticized myself. I stayed in my comfort zone, avoiding taking action and calling myself lazy. Look at the things we do to ourselves. Would we ever call anybody else lazy, right? Like, would we ever fault them or judge them in that way? It's just so interesting how we do this to ourselves, isn't it? It really is. I love this, guys. Thank you for sharing. So this is some awareness where we're not gonna do that anymore, right? We're not going to put any more energy into that. And if we feel that, we can literally say, up until now, I procrastinated. Up until now. I love that. And this is beautiful awareness that's just coming in. So allow that to just settle in and really choose to create this energy moving forward, this follow through energy, this identity, this new identity that you're ready to take on, this probably identity that's been talking to you first thing in the morning and maybe even before you go to bed at night, and maybe taking up some real estate and been asking to come out. Yeah, I'll send you the replay, Chris, for sure. Or Margie, sorry, I'll send it to you for sure. Um, so I want to dive in and we will do the meditation right away. I think we'll do a little bit of a recode and a little bit of a meditation. So if you guys fall off, don't feel bad. I will make sure you get the replays. So if you can, just get comfy, take a place where you can actually do a little meditation. Ah, isn't that beautiful? Such a good realization. So up until now, I was afraid. Isn't that amazing? What are we afraid of when we go into that a little bit? What are we afraid of? Why is procrastinating keeping us safe? I want to do it, but, and just think about that. Just allow yourself to, I want to be that identity, but there's something about being lazy. There's something about procrastinating. Maybe we're afraid of success. Maybe we're afraid we'll be too busy, or we won't have enough time, or we won't, sometimes it doesn't even have to be that we're afraid that we're going to fail. We're actually a lot of times afraid that we're going to succeed. And then what? Then we have to be that identity all the time. We can't go back, right? There's these other awarenesses that may come up when you just unpack that a little bit more. So I'm going to have you guys just connect with your bodies, and we're going to do a few nice deep breaths. And I love at first just taking a breath in and holding it at the top of that breath for about 5 seconds. And then as you release, just allow your whole body to just relax as much as you can. So if you're ready, we'll have you guys close your eyes, and I'm just going to give some energy work because my hands are just heating up. So I'm just going to send some into the collective here. And we're going to call in all of the archangels, all of the spirit guides that have just been with us all of this time, just ready to help us see, help us to gain balance, help us to gain some awareness on things that we're ready to see, ready to shine this full moon's light. And after this, you guys can do some writing. You can write on a paper what you're ready to let go if something comes up for you. You do a bit of a ritual where you burn it, or you put it under your pillow, or you bury it. And being called to tell you to use cinnamon. Take some cinnamon, rub it between your hands before you wash your hands. You can sprinkle it across your doorways, both at the beginning of the month and on a full moon. I love using cinnamon for abundance. So just get some ground cinnamon out and just sprinkle it all over the place. You can bake with cinnamon. You can even put cinnamon in a pot on the stove and just cook it down. Maybe even throw some apples in there. Just I can just smell cinnamon coming in. So what I want you to do is take a couple of nice deep breaths with me. So we're going to take a nice deep breath in and then hold it. So deep breathing in through the belly, in through the nose, and hold it at the top for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then breathing out through your mouth, letting your whole body relax. And take 2 more breaths like this. Breathing in, filling that belly, holding it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and releasing that breath till your whole belly empties, and then breathing in, filling that belly and that chest now, holding it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing. And as you release, I want you to feel your body start to get heavy, almost as though it was like a tree trunk. And I want you to just imagine your body being like a tree trunk. I want you to imagine that you're situated in a beautiful forest amongst many other trees. Just notice what your bark looks like. Notice what the roots at the ground look like. What color is the bark of your tree? Are you a big tree or a small tree? The wind is blowing. Do you feel yourself moving as the tree? Do you feel the top maybe bending a little bit in the wind? I want you to bring some attention up to the top of the tree, in the top of the canopy of the forest, like your branches are reaching out. And I want you to imagine the roots of the tree getting stronger. I want you to imagine right now that the winter is coming. The weather is changing. We can feel it in the air, and it's this beautiful September harvest full moon. And feeling the sun set and the moon rise, I want you to just notice this exchange of these beautiful, beautiful stars. As the sun goes down, it illuminates shadows onto these roots, these familial patterns, these old roots that have been in the ground for so long. And they naturally know what to do. They know when to start actually absorbing this energy from the earth. And I want you to imagine those roots starting to go into winterize mode, where they tune into the earth's frequencies and they draw up all of the energy they need to create the most beautiful fruit and leaves for the next year. It's just programmed in their DNA, just like your soul's ascension is programmed into yours. And just feel yourself being this tree among other trees. Feel yourself swaying ever so slightly in the wind, just a little, just at the top. And I want you to notice some of those leaves that are getting ready to be released from the tree, what it feels like to actually release those leaves. As you start drawing this energy from the earth, what naturally happens is the energy gets drawn down. The light is shining. The air is crisping and the leaves are finished. They're finished their job. They lasted their season. They helped you along. But now some of them are ready to be released. Perhaps some of these leaves are procrastination or being lazy or negative self-talk, putting others first, working too hard, not sleeping enough, not drinking enough. All of these things that you're ready to let go of, all of those things that we thought would maybe get us further in one way or the other. And super conscious, please bring all of our parts together right now as we become a whole tree, as we become a whole part of this forest. Knowing that the other trees can give you some of the nutrients that you need. And imagine your roots expanding beneath and around some of those other trees around. Just imagine those roots starting to branch out, starting to reach out for support, starting to reach out for a little bit of help with some of the nutrients that they're ready to share. And in that exchange, you have some that they do, and just allow yourself to connect under the forest floor within the roots down into Earth's beautiful crystal grid, where everything that you need is ready to be infused into the body, and just start pumping that energy up into the tree. Superconscious, please bring all of these parts that have defragmented into this whole unit, allowing us to see this authentic tree that we really are. And I want you to notice more about the tree. How does your tree smell? What does it feel like? What kind of other trees are around it? What does the canopy of the forest look like if you're to look up at the top of these trees? Are they all touching? Are they connected? Are they separate? And superconscious, please allow any of these parts to be treated, any of the parts that aren't wanting to be released, any of those parts that aren't wanting to come together, please bring them together on this treatment plan of this true choice that we're making to create our soul's expansion, to be our true authentic self, to be the most powerful creator in our life, to be the predominant force, to take our power back, to choose balance, to choose love, to choose that connection to God, to source, to the superconscious. We do that by getting into the frequency of love and just feel so grateful for how far you've come. Look at this tree. Look how big it is. Look how beautiful it is. Look how far it's come. Everything that's happened to and with and through this tree has created exactly where it is right now, and it produced so much this year. So many beautiful things, so many beautiful fruits. Superconscious, please do a massive change history on all of the parts and any resistance toward this true choice. Please tag and treat any of the events and the experiences and allow them to fall away like leaves being released from the tree. Just keeping the wisdom, the wounded healer wisdom, using Chiron's beautiful energy from above, shining the light on how we are who we are because of what we went through and how we can create more love in the collective. And superconscious, please treat any of those events and experiences and do a massive change history, anything causing resistance towards being that creative, powerful force. To do a massive change history on anything taking our power away, anything we give it to. Please treat all identities. Bringing in this identity we've been getting these glimpses of, that we've been seeing, that we've been tapping into, that we've got this pull towards, these identities that we're ready to embrace. And superconscious, please do a massive change history on all identities. And treating any limiting beliefs in accordance to this choice. Any limiting beliefs, any not worthy, not wanting to create conflict, needing to be perfect, needing to be allowed, not feeling good enough, not knowing enough. Please tag and treat all of these limiting beliefs and any others that are in the field, and doing a massive change history on those right now. We're going to go through the energy centers, the root where we have all of our anxieties, all of our fears hiding, where our restlessness and our resistance to change hides out. Those old patterns, those feelings of not being able to do it. Please tag and treat anything in the root chakra, superconscious, just allowing it to transmute, to cleanse, to clear, to purge, to balance, creating the most balance possible in that root chakra, all of the ancestral, and treat all family lines, all family ancestors, parallel timelines, past lives. Please tag and treat all of those all the way back as far as needed in the past, the present, and the future, and do a massive change history on that. Tagging and treating the sacral plexus, where we can be overwhelmed, oversensitive, our lack of boundaries if we're feeling afraid to change. Sometimes we have excessive boundaries. Are our boundaries actually walls keeping people out? Superconscious, please tag and treat that sacral chakra, recalibrating, transmuting, cleansing, clearing, purging, balancing, and purifying. Doing a massive change history on that sacral chakra, on all past, present, and future timelines. Moving up to the solar plexus, where our deepest desires are, where we tend to want to control everything, tagging and treating the fear of being alone, being in victim, being jealous, tagging and treating the emotions and the acts of being judgmental towards ourselves and others. Cleansing, clearing, transmuting, purifying, balancing this solar plexus. And imagine the sunshine, the fire starting to burn inside of your body, inside of this tree, starting to light it up. Almost like you can see light codes moving through. You can see these light codes moving through the tree like veins, starting to recalibrate, starting to regenerate, starting to rewire and balance the whole forest system. And imagine now a beautiful green light moving up into your heart chakra, allowing healing to start to commence from the top, bottom, the sides, the front, the back, just allowing this heart chakra to expand, to heal, to purify, to balance, cleanse, clear, transmute, repair. Every time our heart's been broken, every wall we've put up, allow this light to start coming through the cracks of the heart. Allow it to start shining outside of your tree. Imagine your tree starting to even glow this beautiful green as it emanates its way through the forest, as it expands into the town, into the city, as it expands into your whole country, into your whole hemisphere, and onto the whole planet. This green light is seen across the world. Just feel that light moving and growing. Take a nice receiving breath and allow yourself to envision any leaves falling that have that pain attached to the heart chakra. Allow those leaves to now fall, to be recalibrated into the earth, reabsorbed, composted into food for your tree. And as you move up in the tree, you can feel this beautiful blue light start to come in, surrounding your throat chakra. Superconscious, please tag and treat anything in the heart and the throat chakra that need repairing, that need healing, that need light to just transmute through. And imagine it being like a beautiful glass window that's starting to let that light in and out, starting to flow freely. As you start to use your words, as you start to be able to speak clearly from love, from the heart, the truth, being you, being authentic you. Do a massive change history on those two energy centers. And allowing that light to expand up into the head, expanding up into the third eye. Imagine your brain starting to sound like, almost like it's underwater, where you would hear sand moving, where the valves are opening, the vessels are opening, your pineal gland is expanding and contracting, breathing life, and seeing visions you've never seen before, seeing opportunities, seeing wisdoms, seeing solutions. And ask the superconscious to show you how your third eye and your crown can balance, can recalibrate, can open up into that divine connection of ways for you to connect more to the superconscious, to your soul, to God, to love. The superconscious, please tag and treat anything in these upper chakras, anything that's causing any resistance towards these true choices or being our divine purpose of allowing our soul to expand into who we really are, being our authentic self, being ready, tagging and treating any fears, any emotions that are coming up, any doubts, any old stories, and do a massive change history on that. Tagging and treating forgiveness throughout the whole body. forgiving others, forgiving ourselves, just allowing this emotion to flow through the body anywhere that it needs to create space for the abundance coming in of love, of balance in relationships, of knowing who we really are, magnetizing others that are on that same frequency, tuning into the radio station of love, tuning into the radio station of gratitude and joy, and seeing how far you've come and feeling how good that feels to know how far you've come. You've not given up. And just feel your leaves starting to blow in the wind and noticing that they're falling away easily. There's no struggle. There's no needing to let it go. They're just ready to fall away. And just picture any more leaves falling from the tree that are ready to just be released to the earth, to the wind, to nature, allowing her to do her job, allowing her to winter you. And imagine 1 full year from now, where your tree will be this time next year, how much bigger it will be, the fruits that it may have actually produced. And imagine just 6 months from now, the spring, when you've already planted the seed, it's already the tree. It's already growing, it knew what it was sequenced to be that way. What kind of tree is going to be growing in the spring, in the summer? What kind of fruits are you going to bear? What kind of energy are you going to put in? What are you ready for? What are you ready to just have a little bit more balance in your life? What are you ready to have a little bit more of in your life? What are you ready to experience? It's no coincidence that this balancing of relations and love are all coming into play. We're able to learn about ourselves so much more in such a gentle and loving way. To be our own best friend, to know that we are the ones saving ourselves. No one else is going to swoop in. The tree just knows. And superconscious, please tag and treat anything else in the field. Anything else that's causing any resistance towards creating this true choice, and just do a massive super recode on memories 1, 2, and 3, past, parallel, and future timelines. Just ground all this into the matrix of the universe. As we continue to let these leaves fall naturally as they will, and know that the growth is all happening underneath. And now in this state, I just want you to ask the superconscious what it is that you can do to create a little bit more balance in your life. Just one little action step. It just has to be one little thing. And I want you to ask the superconscious what one action step is that you can do towards becoming more of a predominant creative force in your life. What is the first thing that comes in? Perhaps trust yourself, listen to your intuition. And know that this full moon in Aries is all about water. This is the water sign. So water yourself as much as possible. Drink as much water as possible. You've probably been thirsty. Have a shower and a bath every day if you need. Go swimming if you want. Step into the lake. Do anything that you can to just get yourselves on and near a body of water. Ground yourself with that. And with that, I'd love for you to just take a nice receiving breath. Come on back. Just allow yourself to receive the information that's going to be coming in tonight, and allow yourself to feel into that forgiveness and that love a little bit. Feel into that frequency scale, and really embrace being in that feeling of love. It's hard to go wrong when you're in there. So I am going to bid you good night and a very, very happy full moon. I love lighting a candle, writing out some things that I am just ready to let go of. But I also like kind of tuning into that true choice as much as you can during a day. So make sure you do that. Make sure you let that be your North Star. Remember, that is our fixed point. The only thing then that's going to move is where we are. If we dial that GPS in, we can't go anywhere up and except for there, right? You're going to get there. You're absolutely going to get there. All right. Love you guys. Mwah. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. Enjoy this eclipse energy coming in. Hang on and go for the ride. Take care. Bye-bye.